Hey makers, it's Bree from Minerva, and today I've got one of my favorite kinds of videos. It's a pattern designer spotlight. I am a big indie pattern nerd, so I love getting to talk about all of my favorite designers and sewing patterns. So today is all about Friday Pattern Company. I will share a little bit about the brand itself, including general style, sizing, and then I've got my 5 favorite patterns and some beautiful fabrics to go with them. So Friday Pattern Company is a California-based studio that specializes in modern designs that are really fun to sew. The Friday Pattern Company collection is full of great wardrobe staples for sewists across a range of skills. Many patterns include techniques that could be considered intermediate, but Chelsea, the Friday Pattern Company founder, has been really committed to breaking down intimidating techniques and making them accessible for confident beginners and still interesting for more experienced sewists as well. Their instructions are really thorough, and most patterns also have a accompanying video sew along for folks that like to have a little extra guidance or just prefer the video format altogether. There are over 20 patterns in the Friday Pattern Company printed collection. Styles range from blouses to dresses and outerwear. They even have a few patterns for coordinating sets, which are my favorite at the moment. Most pieces have kind of this like laid back, modern vibe, as well as incorporating some vintage inspired details. Many of the designs, like the Adrian blouse, the Heather blazer, and the Ilford jacket, have become cult favorites in the sewing community. I think Friday Pattern Company really hits the sweet spot between creative and imaginative designs that are still really down to earth and wearable. I also love how they really prioritize fun through the sewing process, not only through good instructions, but also friendly reminders throughout the process to take it slow, enjoy yourself, and even offer yourself a little sweet treat as a reward for some of the trickier steps. So I've picked my 5 favorite patterns, which, not gonna lie, it was so hard to choose because I really love everything from Friday Pattern Company. But I have my 5 favorites as well as some great fabric pairings to go with them. I will link everything below so you can check out all the details. Plus, our product pages also showcase photos and reviews, even hacks and tips from other sewists. It is a really good source of information and inspiration, so definitely check that out. Now, before we dive into the patterns and fabrics, I wanted to touch on sizing. So like many indie designers, Friday Pattern Company has been updating their size range to be more inclusive. So the new releases all come in sizes extra small to 7X. So that is hips 34 to 63 inches. Most patterns have been adapted for this new size range, but be sure to check out each individual pattern for the sizing in the listing. So my top 5 Friday Pattern Company favorites are the Wilder gown, the Patina blouse, the Davenport dress, the sagebrush top, and the Saro set. Now, I've either made these patterns myself or they are at the top of my sewing queue to try next. So let's get into the Wilder gown and blouse. I feel like this is a pattern that really shook the sewing community when it was released. I think it really inspired makers to think more creatively about their own dressmaking, and it inspired other sewing companies to really step up their designs in terms of embracing kind of more artful or ethereal inspiration, as well as getting really creative with construction techniques. Now, since its release, it has become a sewing community classic. I would definitely recommend checking out the hashtag for this one. If you search the hashtag Wilder gown, either here on Minerva or over on Instagram, you will find so many gorgeous, inspiring makes. So the Wilder gown comes as a dress or a blouse with short sleeves or 3/4 length raglan sleeves. The bodice and sleeve pieces have this cut-on facing at the neck, so when you turn it down, that is what becomes the channel for the necktie and creates that beautiful ruffle neck detail. I really love this. The feel of this neckline is kind of like Victorian, 70s, but then the boxier shape of the dress makes it feel balanced and modern. So if you feel like this shape is a little too straight, you can add some little ties to tie at the back to bring it in. I've also seen lots of makers add elastic at the waist. You can also embrace like the full maxi length version, or you could just do one gathered tier for a cute little mini dress. I love that the Wilder is super customizable and really cute. The construction of the Wilder gown is pretty simple, which I think is part of the genius of this pattern. It looks a lot more complicated than it is. It is simple, but depending on how many of those gathered tiers you go for, it might not necessarily be quick. So I quite like the step of gathering. I like pinning and distributing the gathers. I find it quite like meditative, but I know it's kind of one of those like you love it or you hate it. So if you're not someone that loves the gathering, you might consider getting a special foot for your machine, which can cut a lot of the time and effort to get that fabric gathered up nice and evenly. The Wilder gown and blouse is designed for lightweight woven fabrics. So for a soft, kind of airier Wilder, you could go for fabrics like viscose, tencel, or crepe. It's also really beautiful in sheer fabrics. So something like chiffon or voile is always amazing. And then on the other side, you could go for something structured like a lightweight cotton or linen to kind of play up the gathers as well as those style lines at the raglan sleeve. For the Wilder gown, I have picked a beautiful Minerva exclusive viscose challis. So this is the print High Noon. So I am really loving this large scale cactus print with these like little sagebrush. It's so cute. I'm really loving the Southwest inspiration in this print. I love seeing more different kinds of plants in a fabric print. I love a floral, don't get me wrong, but I think this desert print is so unique and really beautiful. Now it's printed on a really lovely viscose. It has so much movement, and that's going to be so perfect for those like swishy gathered tiers of the Wilder gown. The next pattern I have to share is actually what I am wearing today. So this is the Patina blouse. I am a major sucker for a V-neck button front blouse, so I had to give this one a go. I think the pointed Chelsea collar here is super cute. It feels like really elevated, but it's also kind of easygoing at the same time. It's a great take on a classic blouse silhouette. So there are options for a full-length sleeve that gathers into a nice little cuff. It's got a bias-bound placket here, or you can keep them, short and sweet. The Patina blouse has bust darts at the front and the back gathers into a yoke. All of the shoulder seams are really neatly enclosed using the burrito method. I really love this technique. I think it is so satisfying to sew. I always feel like really clever when I turn it out and everything lines up so nice and neat. But I know a lot of folks can be intimidated by the burrito method. And to them, I have to say that the instructions handle it really well. I think the video is super helpful if you've not done this technique before, and it's definitely worth trying out. The patina is one that it's an example of one of those that incorporates those intermediate techniques, but makes them more accessible for confident beginners as well. The construction is really well thought out, and it feels really natural as you're sewing it up. Now, it should be noted that there are a few spots that do require some precision. So around the collar and the yoke, it is really important to keep a good eye on that seam allowance. That way everything can turn out correctly. And there is also some top stitching, which does take some control and precision as well. Now, most light to medium weight woven fabrics are going to work really nicely for patina. So more bodied fabrics like chambray, cotton poplin, cotton lawn, even lightweight linen are going to be great options that will give some volume as well as a nice like airiness to the gathers at the shoulders and around the back yoke. Now, drapey fabrics like viscose, tencel, silk, and crepe will make for a more fluid blouse. Now, depending on the stability or drape of the fabric will kind of also determine the difficulty in sewing it up. So I have made mine in a very slinky viscose twill. Now I love the result. I love how like flowy and soft it is, but it did take a few extra steps to stabilize it, as well as more effort to get a nice feed with all of this top stitching. Now the result, totally worth it. I really love it, but I'm also looking forward to sewing it up in a more stable fabric. So for a bit of a different look for the patina blouse, I have gone for a beautiful lightweight linen. So this is the Minerva Core range washed slub linen. Now, I love a linen, and this is one of my favorite linens ever. It is so perfect for blouses and dresses. It has a really gorgeous drape, but still a nice amount of body to it as well. There is a really nice like sheen in the finish, and that's really great for like catching the light within the texture here, so you can really see that nice slub of the weave. Now this one comes in 25 different colors, and this kind of warm, it's like kind of like a pinky beige. This one is called Soft Hazel. Now I am thinking some nice tortoiseshell buttons paired with this linen is going to make a really gorgeous patina blouse. Next up is my current favorite dress pattern. This is the Davenport Dress. It is another design that I think really brings in that like romantic, whimsical inspiration, but in a way that works really well for everyday wear. It has a soft silhouette and then some really pretty details. So the Davenport features an elasticated neckline, which adds some really nice gathering to the bodice. It also means there are no closures to the dress, so it just kind of pops on over the head, and then the drawstring at the waist gives it some nice shaping there. The skirt has slash pockets and a really cute little frill at the hem. There is an optional shoulder ruffle, and then the 3/4 length sleeve has elastic a little bit above the hem, so then it makes it flare out into this really cute little sleeve detail. The front and back bodice both have yoke seams, so that adds not only to the shaping of the dress, but it also creates a really nice finish on the inside. So like the Patina blouse, the Davenport uses the burrito method for those yokes. It is a really fun and satisfying sew. I would say there's nothing difficult about sewing the Davenport dress, but there are lots of details and small pieces to keep track of and work through. It's definitely suitable for confident beginners, but it's not necessarily going to be like one of those quick whip it out type projects. And also, like the Patina blouse, you can use a wide variety of lightweight woven fabrics. I think it is equally beautiful sewn up in a flowy, drapey viscose or tencel, which makes like a really soft kind of slinkier look, or you could go for a cotton or linen, something with like a little bit of structure to hold those gathered details. For this one, I have chosen another gorgeous Minerva exclusive viscose challis. So this one is called Western Grove. Now, I really love prints like this where they have kind of that like abstract feel to them, but as you get closer, you can see that it is like an actual print. So this one is this really gorgeous like watercolor pine landscape. There are some really gorgeous tones in here, like of course there's green and brown, but in here you also have like some rust and mauve, a little bit of gold to kind of highlight those darker colors. I think it is so, so pretty. You could have a lot of fun with the pattern placement of this print. Like it is big enough that you could just like lean into the abstractness and not worry about it, or you could get really intentional about maybe using like part of that to frame on one of the pattern pieces, like maybe the back yoke or the skirt would be really, really pretty to frame some of this gorgeous print. I think it is so, so pretty and would be really, really nice sewn up as the Davenport dress. Next up is another community favorite. So this is the Sagebrush top. It is a really sweet blouse with an optional ruffle at the high bust and these very signature poof sleeves. So what I love about this top is that even with those bold details of that center ruffle and these big poof sleeves, it doesn't come off as too much. It is a really well-balanced blouse and it looks so good on so many people. So the bodice is designed to have a loose fit without being oversized. The front and the back yokes are a bit more fitted, and then the body pieces gather into that yoke seam, which is also where you put that cute little ruffle. Now, if ruffles aren't your thing, it is an easy one to leave out. The round neckline is finished with bias binding, which is left long at the back because that also becomes the tie for the blouse closure. The main techniques used in the Sagebrush top are gathering, both for the yoke and also for the ruffle. And then the other one is sewing and making bias binding. I love making my own bias binding. It's another step that I find really satisfying. Now, depending on your fabric, this step can be a total breeze if you're working with like cotton or linen, but it could be a little more fiddly if you're working with a slinkier fabric. So you can fold and iron the strip of fabric yourself, or you can also get a bias maker tool to help that process along. The sagebrush will work in most lightweight wovens, but if you really want those sleeves to pop, it's recommended that you use a cotton or a linen, something with a little more body. Now, drapey fabrics are really lovely too. Just note that the sleeves will fall a little bit softer and that binding might take a little bit more effort. So I fell in love with the pattern sample of the sagebrush made up in a gingham. So I have gone for this 1/4 inch check vintage gingham from the Minerva core range. It's 100% cotton and it comes in lots of colors. I have gone with this lilac. Now, I love a classic black or navy gingham, but I think there's something really sweet about this lilac. Like it feels like a kind of fun, sunnier take on the classic print. Now, my idea, what I really like about the gingham is that I want to cut the front and back yoke on the bias. I think it would be a really fun way to play around with this check pattern. Now, it would require some extra stabilization because the pattern is not meant to be cut on the bias, but I think the extra steps would be worth it because it would be a super, super cute gingham sagebrush top. The last pattern I have to share today is the Saro Set. So since it came out last year, this pattern has become an instant classic in the sewing community. On top, we have a reversible crop top, so you can either wear the deep V or the round high neck at the front. It's got breezy, grown-on sleeves and elastic at the hem. The bottoms are wide leg elastic waist trousers with a cute little drawstring and slash pockets. So this is such a great pattern to have in your stash. Matching or co-ord sets are great wardrobe builders. They're an outfit in itself, but you can also mix and match them with other items in your wardrobe. So the Saro Set is a really good pattern for practicing bias binding and elastic insertion. The construction is super straightforward. If you've never made trousers, this would be a great first pants project. You'll want to look for light to medium weight woven fabrics with some drape, especially for that elastic waist trouser. So cotton lawn, chambray, and linens are great for a kind of soft, casual look. For a more elevated or slinkier look, you could go for viscose, tencel, or silk. So I have been pining for a linen Saro set for what feels like ages now. So I have picked this really lovely 100% linen noir from the Minerva core range. It has really beautiful drape, a nice textured weave that's not too open for sewing up a pair of trousers. It's important. It is really soft and smooth, and I love the feel of this linen so much. This one comes in 25 colors. I have picked this leaf green. I think it is like the perfect shade of green. It's really like vibrant, but still feels kind of like soft and natural. I think it's going to make such a beautiful Saro set, and I am so excited for this one. So those are my 5 favorite patterns from Friday Pattern Company. There's definitely a reason that they are such a fan favorite pattern designer. Their patterns feature gorgeous designs that have that like effortlessly cool and super modern vibe to them. And they really balance that creative, imaginative design and construction with ease and wearability. They're super fun patterns to sew, and I love how they offer sewists lots of support through really good instructions, as well as the video sew-alongs that accompany many of their patterns. I really hope you will check out the full range of Friday Pattern Company's collection here on Minerva. Now, all of the patterns and fabrics I talked about are linked below today. If there's something that caught your eye and you want to save 10%, you should check out the Minerva Craft Club. You can sign up and save 10% on every Minerva order for a whole year. So I hope you've enjoyed my fangirling over Friday Pattern Company, and hopefully you're feeling inspired to check out some new sewing patterns or get to sewing up some Friday Pattern Company designs. If you have any questions, of course, let us know in the comments. We would love to help you out or offer recommendations. Now that is all from me today, but stay tuned because we have got new videos coming your way all the time. So we'll see you then, and until next time, happy making. Bye!